Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, I have been continuing to mess around with thermals, with thermal image sights, and converting the thousands of prefabs in the game over to using them, and in the process have come up with some really cool features. So what we're going to do to actually take a look at these features is we're going to temporarily affix to our head a thermal sight so that we can view these effects. So most of what you're going to see for the rest of this devlog is going to be through this view. Note, it is low frame rate intentionally because this is a simulation of an actual thermal sight, and they're just like that. And if you're like, wow, does that make this very dizzying to have just this in my left eye and not my right eye? The answer is yes, which is why I'm holding my right eye shut right now like a pirate. But there's a whole bunch of cool things that we can do with this. So one of the things that I brought online this week is the ability to have dynamic thermal changes on objects. So an example of this is casings, which is one of the reasons why I have my casings set to not despawn. You can see a bunch down there here. But if we begin to fire this gun now, you'll notice the casings actually come out quite hot and then cool over the process of, I think these are set to fully reach sort of like neutral background temperature between, it's either 10 or 20 seconds. I can't remember. I don't have the values fully dialed in for these yet, but the eventual intention is to actually have this partially based on cartridge type, because in real life, difference based upon the amount of mass and the pressure and things like that, you get slightly different things. And if you've been out to the range, know that like a 22 is hot if you catch it literally right out of the weapon, but it rapidly cools, whereas something like a 30-06 will actually remain pretty hot to the touch for, I don't know, a minute or more. So it's one of those like super subtle, futzy simulation details, but this game is all about those in a big way, and so it figured it would be a fun thing to simulate. Wow, this is dizzying to do. As I said, normally you don't mount a thermal to your face. Other cool stuff. If you remember our laser pistol, I don't know if you can see that in the peripheral vision around the thermal. We have our laser pistol here, which we're going to put a battery into. And you'll notice that not only is the beam sweet looking under thermals, the sparks are as well, but of all of our glowing impact decals that are used for lasers also show up on the thermal sight. Isn't that just sweet? You know what? I don't think I had ever shot this target, and it makes the hit sound each time. That is delightful. So yeah, so that's stuff like our lasers that respond to it. The next thing I'm going to show you, this comes with a preference. This is not something that I'm going to do to all of the 500 guns in the game. Honestly, if I had like 3 full-time people to do it, and the money to do it, I would consider it, but it's just sort of like a many years too late. But the minigun already had a glow map for turning really hot, because that's just cool. I have temporarily set this to heat up much faster than the actual minigun in-game does, because I don't want to stand here shooting like 600 rounds for it to happen. But if you watch this, that's firing off just a burst. We got our smoke. We can see that the barrels have already started to warm a little bit. I'll try to put that in the peripheral vision so you can see a little bit of glow happen. And there we go. The actual barrel heats up. Doesn't that look sweet? Oh man, that is glowing hot now. This is basically like the perfect demo object to use for showing off a thermal scope. it's so sick. Cool, put this over here. Next thing actually is the opposite of doing something hot, which is if we bring a cryo squirrel over here, and let's see here, grab ourselves just a simple hot dog. You obviously can't see the UI here. If we put a SOSIG here, so this is how this looks by default through the thermal imager. Nice and bright, but let's use a weapon here. Whew! Turning your head rapidly when you're in low resolution, like I think this might be running at 60 FPS or lower, I can't remember. So you pull this up and shoot this barrel. This is going to freeze our SOSIG, which, in addition to giving it the ice debuff it always has, knocks it down to being as cold as the default temperature. Blap. Still warm on the inside, though. So yeah, so these are just, as I said, examples of various things that we can do. I'm going to reload the scene as this is quite dizzying, and I have something else to show. Speaking of dizzying, I have this prototype object that Ole put together. This is hilarious. If you've ever wondered why if there was a good why folks tend to not prefer binocular night vision that has a single view, whoo baby, try this in VR is let's just say it's not good. And the reason it's not good is because this is now in both of my eyes, left and right, but it's a monocular view. And the camera isn't where my eyes are. It's in the middle of them and a little bit forward. You can see that this is kind of zoomed in. This is just a function of the fact that, you know, this protrudes off of my face. And yeah, this is not fun. This is one of those, sometimes you put something in a game out of a desire of verisimilitude, a desire to be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could simulate X? And then you're like, X was a mistake. This is one of those mistakes. Oh, I should not nod my head rapidly. That is even worse. Let's find something with an underside pick rail real quick. Something else I wanted to show you all, and I'm just so disoriented by this that I cannot think straight, apparently. I don't know. Just do. Fine. Bren 806. You're what's in front of me. The other thing that I wanted to show, wow, it is really hard to like operate and reload things when things are kind of zoomed in. We've added some functionality to our laser sights. Let's see here. We turn this on. There are now separate settings for visible laser, which you can see there. We just see the dot. The beam isn't really visible for red. We also have an IR view, which, as you can see, is visible through the night vision, but in our peripheral view here, I don't know how visible that is, you can see that no beam is visible at all, and no dot is visible. And you're like, that's neat that that's simulated that way, but like, does that actually matter in H3? And the answer is it will. I'm in the middle of doing it, but basically the dots coming off of your laser are in fact going to be visually perceptible by SOSIGs. At least the visible IR ones are, visible laser ones are. It's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I figured out how to do it in a way that won't be too much of a pain in the butt. So yeah, so the laser sights, which honestly are the most like quote unquote like unfairly excellent aim assist in the game, will be getting a little bit of a trade-off for modes like Take and Hold once I have that functional. Man, that's just so neat. So yeah, so the lasers are in here. Man, I hate having this thing on my head. Oh yes, and I have to jump over to a different scene quickly. And then lastly, over here in this scene, we're going to actually set something up quickly to make this a little easier to see the effect of. There's a category of both night vision and thermal scopes that we knew existed but didn't really have a good way of dealing with, despite the fact that they're, the most common that one will find, I think, in civilian hands, which is clip-ons. The idea that you could have a standard scope what would it be? Behind a thermal or night vision optic. With a thermal, you wouldn't really want to do it because they've got fixed resolutions, but with night vision, this is actually very common. The problem is that all scopes in H3 are essentially drawing at a fixed view. So if a scope is zooming into like a night vision scope that's at 1x, it's like, imagine like just zooming into a game texture like this, where you get real close to it and you're like, hey, that's all the pixels there. So that was what was happening. But Ole is relentless and figured out a way to and this, mind you, this only works if you actually have, no, I don't want an A4. I want, this is fine. Something with flipped on sights. Basically, this only works with recursive scopes, set above 1, but you can, in fact, I need to actually get the scope to demonstrate this. Man, I'm rambly today. So yeah, so we can actually take like a 6x36 like this, mount it there, make sure the eye box is good. Obviously, we can't see anything because it's super dark, but we can now take a night vision scope like so. These can be far enough away from each other. No, they're not. That's amazing. I literally didn't pick a large enough rifle. That is how much Anton has things together today. Let's just, I don't know, go to battle rifle, I guess. Yeah, this should have a long enough rail. This thing has an embarrassment of rails. Cool. Pull that back. That might be a little too close to our... No, that'll be great. And then put the night vision in front of it, like so. Wonderful. So now we can... Oop, I need to set that to 1x, actually. There we go. So now, this is a scope. This is the 6 to 36x scope actually seeing through a completely separate night vision module. So for all of you who prefer to run clip-ons in your setup, or just love that like dual optic look at the top of whatever platform you're running, that will now be possible. And I think that's actually so close to my eye that it's clipping into it. Let's pull that stock back a bit. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's much better. Thank you, volunteers! So yeah, so when we end up getting actual optic units into the game, basically there's going to be 3 categories of them. There's going to be ones that are designed to mount directly to the head. There's going to be ones that are all-in-one magnified and night vision in one package, and there'll be a bunch of clip-ons that don't actually have reticles of their own that are designed to be used with whatever optic you dig. So, and that should end up being a pretty comprehensive set of equipment. So, super fun. All right, I'm going to jump out of VR now because there's something else very important that I need to talk about that is starting today. Yo, out of VR. Other important thing that I wanted to cover with you folks is that I have a fun contest to announce that is being run by the First to Worst folks. For those of you who don't know, First to Worst has been H3's competitive community centered around Take and Hold. They've run some tournaments and other events in the past. The head ringleader of the whole thing, Putter's been super busy for a while with just like real life stuff, but he's getting back into organizing things, and to get things like spooled back up before doing like a full tournament, they're running an Institution Highlight Madness contest. It's running between today and July 12th, and it's a clip submission contest. Basically, play in the institution level, and there's a whole bunch of different sort of categories that you can submit a clip to compete in. Everything from like best reload to funniest moment or most epic fail, cleanest encryption clear, best trick shot, best takedown, best meat pun / joke. Like if you just want to set up something ridiculous, and rolling with the worst, show how well you can operate with the worst weapons in the game. So yeah, if you want to participate in this, there is a link right down in the description of this video to the contest submission form, which itself has a link to the First to Worst Discord. They've also got a link for like a tutorial for recording and streaming. If you've never done that before, if you've never like actually recorded a game clip and edited it, they've put some stuff together to help you folks out with that. So yeah. But yeah, my understanding is the intent, as they get spooled back up, is to do another First to Worst tournament at some time in the future. I imagine probably sometime in the fall. But before that, going to do a fun clip content, and hopefully it ends up producing some both humorous and epic footage of folks playing the game. I know I'm super curious every time. The community sets its mind to showing off, being able to do ridiculous things in the game. I feel like I learn new things as a designer and creator about what is even possible when playing the game. So I look forward to seeing what comes out of this. As for H3 though, the goal is to have an experimental build, a new one, with the first of this sort of night vision and thermal stuff to test, as well as something fun. It is going to be an out of schedule update because we're coming up on a very important day, 4th of July. That's right, Murica's birthday is coming up. Which, if memory serves, looking at a clock there, is coming up on Thursday. So my plan, as long as nothing goes disastrously, is I'm going to be dropping this experimental build. Instead of on next Friday, I'm going to be dropping it on next Wednesday instead, so that it is ready for the 4th of July. With, as I said, a very special, appropriate for 4th of July new toy that I hope you all enjoy. So along with the first of our night vision and thermal stuff, so you can put that in and see all the ways that it breaks together. So anywho, I hope that is exciting to you folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video as always, and I will I look forward to seeing what y'all end up doing for the Institution Highlight Madness First to Worst contest, and I will see you all soon. Peace.